Thank you all so much for joining. And my name is Chris Kapansky, and this is the webinar, the partner webinar between Wealthbox and Asset-Map, and we do have an awesome special guest here today as well. So today's presenters will be myself covering Wealthbox. We're also joined by Leah Jean McHenry, who is the Senior Training Manager over at Asset-Map, but we're also joined by Seth Church, who's actually a wealth advisor over at Sound Foundation Wealth Advisors, who uses both Wealthbox and Asset-Map. So we'll bring Seth in a little bit later here to talk to us about how his firm uses both tools. Besides that, during the webinar, we are going to start off with a very quick look at Wealthbox for anyone that is not familiar, after which I will hand it over to LJ to talk a little bit about Asset-Map, how that works. And that's when we'll go ahead and open the floor, reintroduce Seth to talk a bit about how he and his team uses both tools. But then at the very end, we're going to be able to use that Q&A feature and cover any questions. So if you have any questions throughout the entire presentation, feel free to use that Q&A feature and type in your questions, and we'll be happy to cover all of those questions at the very end. So just a little bit about Wealthbox CRM. Wealthbox is a modern, easy-to-use CRM for financial advisors. We offer complimentary migrations from any other CRM to help you get started. If you would like to check us out, you could always head on over to wealthbox.com and either start a 30-day free trial or join one of our daily full live demos of Wealthbox. So let's get into my demo environment and take a closer look. So Wealthbox CRM is a web-based CRM that you could log into on your computer or your mobile phone or tablet. When you do log in, this is the first page that you'll see. That's your dashboard. From the dashboard, this is essentially where you'll see everything that's happening within your firm and what's coming up next. So just to get a quick look at the different areas here, top left will show you the name of your firm. The top right is where you'll see your own name. I'm currently logged in as Brad Creedon, who's a financial advisor. Along the left-hand side is going to be your main navigation. If you want to go into your contact list, your tasks, workflows, calendar, etc., all of that will be here. Then at the very bottom, one of my favorite parts of the layout is the recently viewed section. You're working with a client, you need to go and check on your calendar for availability. You could go right back to that client's record page. Then the right-hand side of the dashboard is where we'll see all of our upcoming activities. So if you have any meetings that are scheduled, if you have any tasks or workflow steps that you need to complete, or any active workflows, special dates like client birthdays and anniversaries, and active opportunities, this effectively becomes the right now. When you do go back to your dashboard after a meeting, you look at the right-hand side to see what should you start working on next. But as we take a look at the center of the screen, at the very top, we have our publisher. But then directly below the publisher is where we find the associated activity stream. In the activity stream, this is where you'll find everything that's happening within your firm. So if anyone is having conversations with clients, assigning or completing tasks, creating new contacts, all of that will cascade down into this activity stream and show you what the team is up to. Of course, it's all chronological order, so you'll see the most recent item at the very top. Within this activity stream, there's also a lot of collaborative functionality. Wealthbox takes a social CRM approach at how this is actually built out, giving you and your team the ability to actually communicate internally within these activities. You can add a quick comment, ask a question, notify one another of that being added so that you don't have to go down the hall, knock on each other's halls, or email each other to get an update on something that you might have added here. But let's go back up to the very top here and talk a bit more about that publisher that I pointed out earlier. The publisher is what you'll use to add new activities. You could create new notes, create new contacts, assign tasks, schedule events, and create new opportunities. These options are here to save you time, so you don't have to switch to a different section or look up a contact just to add that activity. This does save a lot of time in terms of clicking, waiting for pages, and of course, keeping your client on hold. Just to give you all an example, when adding a note in a lot of other systems that requires you to look them up in the search bar, wait for the results to show up, click on their name, click into some drop down. It's a lot of clicks. Meanwhile, in Wealthbox, you just click into the publisher, you start typing in your note, and then using the @mentioning feature, you're able to relate that note directly to the client. I'm looking for Delilah Jones. I typed in Delilah's first name, not even the entire name, but I already see Delilah right at the top of that dropdown, which shows me my search results. Now I just hit enter on my keyboard, finish up that note, and now I could go ahead and hit post. It's that simple. 2 clicks, that note is in there. It's related to Delilah Jones. That note appears within the household and the individual contact. And of course, there's a lot more details I can add to that note. I can format the note. I could dictate the note using our transcription feature. I could plug in a note template or even categorize that note. But that just shows you an example of how quick and easy it is to add these activities. Now, with that note that was just added, of course, it's at the very top of that activity stream. We could see that it's a note that's related to Delilah Jones, and it was added by Brad Creed, and of course, it's all timestamped. From within that note, I could click on the client's name, and that slides out with a quick view on the right-hand side, where I could see the most important details. But I could go ahead and click on Delilah's name once again, and that takes me into the contact record page for this client. Now, you'll notice right away that the layout within the contact record is very similar to what we just saw on the dashboard, with a publisher, activity stream, and upcoming activities on the right-hand side. This layout here is what essentially connects to the intuitive interface that Wealthbox offers. It's what helps with higher user adoption, because once you're comfortable with your dashboard, you'll be comfortable within the contact record, you'll be comfortable within your projects, you'll know exactly where to go to find what you're looking for. Besides these components that we've already seen, you will also have a snapshot right at the top here that shows you the client's most important information. That includes their name, their household, their company, some contact details, and tags. And I kind of want to put a pin in the tags because I know Seth is going to be talking a little bit more about that, about how to leverage these tags. But this is a great way to segment clients, track which products the clients have with you, or even just general hobbies. If the client is into golf or if they follow a specific sports team, so that you know what to bring up when you make that phone call. But with that segue into communicating with the client, we do have a built-in click-to-call feature. This allows you to initiate phone calls directly out of the CRM. By verifying your phone number, you just hit place call. This feature calls your phone, you answer your phone, that connects you with the client, and it logs the fact that a call was made. Very straightforward, saves you a couple seconds every time. Then, of course, with emailing, we have a built-in email tool called Wealthbox Mail. It's an email companion tool that allows you to actually log into your own email server inside of the CRM. So you'll be able to send emails. You could use a lot of the same formatting options that you're used to now with your existing email client, with some additional features as well, like the ability to use templates, swap out signatures, track if clients are opening emails, or even set reminders. If you're sending a time-sensitive email, Wealthbox could notify you if no one responds to that email. Along with sending the email, Wealthbox Mail also allows you to essentially see your entire inbox. This email section on the left is where you'll see all emails that are coming in. And you'll know right away if the email is coming from an existing contact because their name will be highlighted in blue and we could go directly into that contact. If the email is coming from a prospect, we also have the ability to create the contact right on the spot as well. But then going back to Delilah's record page, you'll also find the dedicated email tab that will show you all communication between you and your client in this one section. Any emails you've ever sent to them, received from them, that includes multiple email addresses, and it could include multiple users as well. We could see what others in our team have communicated with that client. And of course, I could click through the emails. These are the actual emails pulling in here. So I could then reply to the emails. I could forward it to someone else. And if we've established a next step, we could click on any one of these icons at the top to create a follow-up task, schedule a meeting, start a workflow, or create an opportunity. So that's the Wealthbox Mail feature. To the right of the Wealthbox Mail feature, that email tab is where we'll find a lot of our other integrations. And here at Wealthbox, we integrate with well over 100 different integration partners. But with that, I'll use that as a segue to bring LJ back on the call to talk a little bit about our integration partner, Asset-Map, and how all of that works and connects into Wealthbox. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen here, and LJ, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. And thank you to each and every one of you for taking time out of your very busy schedules to join us here today. And I'm really excited to take you through the power of Asset-Map and how you can really efficiently use Wealthbox and Asset-Map together. And once I'm done with my portion of the presentation, I'll be passing it over to Seth Church, and he's really going to bring it home and share how he's actively using both Wealthbox and Asset-Map in practice, and how they are two tools in particular that are core pieces of his tech stack to allow him to work efficiently on his clients moving forward. So thanks everyone for being here. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Asset-Map, what is it? Well, Asset-Map is an advisor client engagement platform, and it really will not only grow your business, but it'll facilitate speed to advice, so allowing you to deliver advice more quickly, and it's going to help you create deeper and more trusted and more active relationships moving forward. Now, I think we've all heard the saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Well, the financial picture is really worth 1,000 decisions. And in our platform, in roughly less than 15 minutes or less, you can input the most important information about a client onto one page, and you're able to evaluate it and determine where they are today. And then we can take steps into uncovering opportunities, finding solutions that are going to be the best fit. Now, one thing that I want to share with you is that there's been 3 common problems that we see a lot of financial professionals face: time to credibility, complexity of deliverables, and scalability of advice. Now, I truly believe that Asset-Map can help you solve for all 3 of these. And if you're not sure what we mean, well, time to credibility is this. When you're meeting with a prospect for the first time, right, we want to build credibility with them quickly. So how do we get information for them to start understanding where they are so that we can then help get to the advice conversation quickly? The old way was to interrogate people or have them fill out these very large fact finders, or you're taking 5 pages of notes, and that can take a lot of time. Asset-Map is going to help you do this quickly. Complexity of deliverables is as simple as it sounds. There's a lot of tools out there that have really great reports, but they're really complex. And 70-page deliverables for clients are just not necessarily what they're looking for, nor do they fully understand it. You can start an entire planning conversation on the Asset-Map report. You may not even have to pivot off of it, but we have other tools that can help you facilitate those conversations as well. The third piece here is scalability of advice. When we reached out to a lot of our financial professionals in this market, we realized that a lot of them are really only doing traditional planning for maybe 20 to 30% of their clients, maybe sometimes less than that. Why? Because it's not scalable, right? It takes a lot of time to produce these deliverables. And so we believe that there is an opportunity for you to provide a planning experience for every single one of your clients, especially those that are under engaged, and you can do it quickly using Asset-Map. So let's move to the next slide here. Asset-Map was built around boosting the 3 moments that we believe will bring you the highest engagement between both you and your clients. And we believe that these are really where you're going to have opportunities to increase your impacts. We have the initial conversation. So when you're bringing on new clients, Asset-Map is going to be a game changer, because nothing's going to help you build credibility faster and bringing you into that advice engagement conversation than proving that you know them and building out their map. Next is going to be recommendations of advice. So when it comes to that recommendation conversation, many of us that maybe are using other tools out there, that might be 70 pages of very technical details that frankly the client or prospect just doesn't understand. Asset-Map, you could produce an Asset-Map report, and that's going to allow you for speed of advice. You can point out the areas of concern. You can notate the gaps that maybe need to get filled, but you can also back it up and quantify it using other tools that we have that showcase this is what the problem is, but here's together how we can fix it. The third piece here is ongoing engagement, right? A client's financial picture isn't just one and done. Neither is Asset-Map. It keeps up over time. And it's going to allow you to allow Asset-Map to be a core piece of every single one of your meetings moving forward. And the Asset-Map report really is a sticky feature. So we mentioned 3 areas of opportunity. The first one's growth. There's no other platform out there that's going to allow you to make advice conversations more simple, productive, and or profitable. In fact, we've seen many of our financial professionals see a 38% increase in their overall revenue. Next up, speed. Transform the complex to clarity, faster decision-making, and higher productivity. What we want to get down to here is that we want to build confidence so that they can then make decisions faster. If we can very clearly showcase to a client where they are today and why we're asking them to take recommendation of action, and they're then going to do it, that's going to save you time. You then can take that time back and can work on other clients to find additional solutions. The last one here is trust. Trust is the secret sauce of this business, because with clarity comes confidence. And at the end of the day, if you're able to help your clients achieve financial wellness and succeed, not only are they going to be successful, but so are you. So when it comes to Asset-Map, we've got a ton of incredible features that you can utilize, and there's lots of different ways to get households added quickly into the application. One way is through integrations, and we'll talk and show you in app just how quickly it is to import a household from Wealthbox. But we also have other tools like our discovery interview tool, a blank digital fact finder. You generate a link, you send it to a prospect. They fill out the questions, they click all done. We add a brand new household in Asset-Map. You can continue working off of them moving forward. Even if you onboard a prospect into Asset-Map and then later put all their information into Wealthbox, you can still connect that Wealthbox contact to the household within Asset-Map. So that's really going to streamline some of that data flow. In addition, here's the Asset-Map report. This is a sticky feature. Whether or not you realize this, every single one of your clients is looking for this level of service. When we can very clearly show somebody where they are today, that's the foundation that allows us to then talk about where they want to go and how we're going to help them get there. Every single Asset-Map report is structured the same. You'll have your primary client and or spouse featured in the middle, their joint assets down below, insurance up top, and then anything that they respectfully own on their respective sides. Now, we start with cash flow sources, followed by retirement assets, followed by non-retirement assets. And if they have any, cash balances on insurance policies and things like that, that'll be down below. You'll notice that if you're looking at this Asset-Map report, all these instruments have a color coding on the outside. That is going to be especially important because it is designed that way based off of asset type. We have this nice little legend down at the bottom, makes it really easy for you to understand, but also, and more importantly, your clients. But with many of our families and households that we're working with, it's not always just one client or a client and a spouse. There may be children, there may be business partners, there may be a power of attorney, there may be other individuals that make up their financial picture. So of course, you can add those into the Asset-Map platform as well. You can add those trusted members and entities and things, and you can still drive the conversation to the map. Other tools that we have are stencils and the marker tool. Stencils allow you to overlay temporary placeholders. They're outlined here in light gray. You can think of a stencil kind of like Netflix. When you log into Netflix, it'll give you recommendations on other shows and things that you might like. Stencils can be kind of thought of in the same way. Stencils are designed to help you facilitate meaningful conversations, to help you fill in gaps, potentially uncover additional opportunities, or they can simply just be placeholders that you put on a map to drive conversation. Hey, have you thought about the benefits of X, Y, and Z? You haven't, but you are interested? Okay, great. Let's continue that conversation. From a presentation standpoint, we've got a marker tool built-in app, which you can enable at any time. You can draw on the screen using your mouse to really draw insights and kind of point out specifically what it is that you're talking about. This allows for people to follow along with you really easily, whether it's a remote meeting or in person and you're presenting this on the screen, there's value there. Now, aside from just building where they are today, we also want to analyze their data. We have tools to help you do that, like Signals. Signals has some high-level analysis that we look at the entire household to determine, does it look like this household could financially weather these storms? It runs off of a color gradation system, and this is really going to allow you to kind of run triage on your households to determine, are there areas that we need to dive deeper? Now, how do we actually run the analysis? That's where target maps come into play. Target maps directly help you quantify, here's how on track you are for your goals, or if these unplanned events take place, are we on track? Yes or no? If the answer is no, we can still build out multiple other iterations so that we can show the power of the solutions and recommendations that we're trying to make. All while doing this quickly, delivering speed of advice, and really making sure that they know that they can trust us and we're looking out for their best interests. Within every target map, you can dive into the cash flow details. If you need to dive deep, you can, and you can run multiple analysis across the board, whether it's retirement, loss of life, education, you name it. And you can build out multiple iterations of each. Here's your retirement baseline. Here's retirement recommendation number 1, 2, and then 3. After that, it just comes down to really being able to provide a deliverable that's simplified. No longer do we need that 70-page report. We can use the Asset-Map report. Maybe there might be a few other reports that we decide to include, but there's power in kind of simplifying that deliverable and having it make sense. So hopefully by now, I have provided you some insight as to the power of what Asset-Map can bring. If you'd like to learn more about us, we'll provide you some information at the end. First, I'm now going to hop into the application and very quickly just show you how fast you can then use your Wealthbox login to use as an integration within Asset-Map. So as you can see, I have a login here to Wealthbox. It's an incredible CRM, as you just saw from Chris. It's so efficient and there's so many different ways that you can utilize it. But one thing that Seth's going to cover in just a moment is that Seth adds all of his clients into Wealthbox, and he uses that as a quick way to then add a household into Asset-Map. Let me show you how to do that. Within the Asset-Map application, you'll first need to enable the integration. So you'll log in, click Add Household, click into Integrations. Now, if you haven't set up your Wealthbox integration, all you have to do is click Manage Integrations on the upper right, look for Wealthbox, click Activate. It's as simple as just typing in your login information to Wealthbox that will then enable the integration in Asset-Map. It's just that simple. Once it has been established, you can click into the integration here. From there, you can search for the household that you're looking to bring over into Asset-Map, or you can simply use the little search bar here. If you click on the search icon, it will bring up all of your contact records that you have added into Wealthbox at that moment in time. So in a moment, you're going to see a full list here. Then I can comb through this list and I can say, okay, who am I looking to import quickly into Asset-Map? In today's example, I'm going to import my client, Jordan Demo. If I click import, it's going to take a moment and it's going to pop up a screen. If there are other members within that household within Wealthbox, they will also appear as an option. AKA, do I want to import this household with just one member, or do I want to bring over all the members at once from Wealthbox that are in this household? Why not, right? That's efficient. So I'm going to go ahead and click import all. In a matter of seconds, it's going to take a moment to think. And once it's successful, it's already created the household. All I have to do is click view here, hops you into the household in Asset-Map. I can click directly on the Asset-Map report, and you're going to see that those members have already been pushed over from Wealthbox. The household's been created, and now I can continue building the map from here. If I click into any one of the members, you'll see all the information that's fed from Wealthbox. So you'll see all these different sections here. If they're grayed out and have the little lock icon, it means it's coming from Wealthbox, right? So you'll have the ability to see these things here. Anything needs to be updated, you can just hop right here into the Wealthbox tab. You can see the information, how it's come over. And if you need to go view the record within Wealthbox to quickly make an update, you can do that there. And then you can just click the sync button back in Asset-Map. All right, I know I've taken enough time, so I'm going to go ahead and now have Seth Church come on, and he's going to share with you explicitly how he is using both Wealthbox and Asset-Map in practice. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen here and bring us all back on.
Awesome. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the intro. And just to reiterate what Chris and LJ said, I'm an independent advisor, so I don't work for Wealthbox or Asset-Map, and you may think I do after all the good things I have to say about these two tech stacks. So I love Asset-Map and I love Wealthbox, and they have become really the core center of our practice. To give you a little bit of background on myself, I'm in a small branch office. There's 4 advisors here and 2 staff members, and we're actually all 4 in different states. So I saw we had somebody join from Oregon. We've got somebody in Oregon, somebody in Idaho, and then I'm actually over in North Carolina, and I work with my brother who's in South Carolina. So all 4 in different states, and then our staff is even spread out in 2 further states. And really at the center of that is Wealthbox and Asset-Map, helping us keep things virtual and keep things tech friendly as we just are all spread out across the country. It's nice to get together, twice a year at conferences, but other than that, like we just rely on our tech to keep the business running. To give you a little bit of numbers, I pulled up our Wealthbox this morning, and we've got over 2,500 contacts in Wealthbox, which that's not individual clients. It includes beneficiaries and businesses and spouses and children too. But that does include a lot of the clients, and out of those 2,500, about 500 of our clients have asset maps. So I had kind of pulled together some numbers there. So just to give you an idea, like we use these 2 tech stacks pretty heavily between the 4 of us. And then to give you one more number, last year, I kind of pulled some data. We added about 200 clients between the 4 of us last year. And I just mentioned that to say, if you are in like a, whatever size practice that you're working for, Wealthbox and Asset-Map are a great fit. We are really, 200 clients in a year is about 1 a week per advisor. And our tech is what's able to really keep us on track with all of those people, as LJ and Chris showed through their demo. I thought it'd be best to just kind of walk you through me onboarding a client, what that looks like, and how I use both Wealthbox and Asset-Map through that process. So let's say I meet with somebody, I get a referral and, I do my meeting. I am old school where I love pen and paper notes. So I take a pad of paper and a pen to my meeting. I fill out a couple pages, whatever it may be. And let's say the client wants to work together. I immediately am putting all of their info into Wealthbox. So, I've got stacks of legal pads from over the years that, are look like crumpled up newspaper at this point, but I know that all of my notes are electronic in Wealthbox. And also, as Chris showed, anytime I need to add a new note, I just go on that home page, type in the @ symbol, type in the client's name, put in a new note, and then you just hit enter and it saves. And I don't have to worry about flipping back through my legal pad and finding, the last time I spoke to whoever. While we're putting someone's info into Wealthbox, Chris pointed out the tags that you can add to individuals' profiles. So we've actually created tags for all of our clients. For job, employer, all the general things. And we've actually added ones for asset maps. So all of our clients get either asset map completed, asset map pending, or no asset map. And those are just ones that we've made up. Kind of self-explanatory, but basically every single client we work with, unless they have said, I don't want a financial plan, maybe it's a family member that just needs a Roth IRA or something, but everybody we work with gets an asset map. So what happens is put everybody's info in Wealthbox. Let's say we build them out an asset map. Now I know ongoing who of my clients have their asset map completed and who still needs one. So I'm able to run reports using those tags of, I can just get a quick Excel sheet that says, hey, here's my clients, here's asset map pending. I got to go back through here and reconnect with these people. As advisors, we're always trying to make things easier on ourselves while also staying compliant friendly. And I can tell you that those tags and our asset maps are the perfect way to make sure that we're staying in touch with clients and also just kind of keeping track of the whole onboarding process and the, that relationship ongoing. So one thing that we do specifically, so onboard a client, put together an asset map. Everybody that we work with gets an updated asset map every 6 months. So we do that as a way to check in with clients and just hear what's new. Is there a new job? Is there, new benefits? Had a kid? What do we need to add in here? We also do that as a way of staying compliant friendly. So one of the members of our team actually had a state FINRA audit last year. And I'm not sure if any of you have had the very fortunate experience of going through this. That was sarcasm, by the way. But he was basically pestered, to put it lightly, on, hey, we need to see proof that you've been in contact with your clients, that you have been, taking good notes, noting best interests, all the things that they're going to ask for. And what he did was he pulled up a couple clients' folders and showed them, hey, I've been working with this client for 4 years. Here's 8 asset maps that I've put together for them over the years that we just save into OneDrive. So here we've got a clear, I've been reaching out to this client twice a year. We've been updating things. We've been having conversations, making sure that everything is still on check. And that is a super easy way that we just show with all of our clients, like, hey, we're staying up to date. We're hearing what's new. We're making recommendations based off of information that we've gathered. So I mentioned that because Asset Map is not only a great way to kind of start working with the client and a way to give them a deliverable up front, but it's a fantastic way to keep that relationship ongoing and stay compliant while we're doing it. So jumping back to my scenario, let's say, we meet with a client, we've got them put into Wealthbox. Fast forward every midsummer and New Year's, I mentioned we're putting together new asset maps for people. So I just go in and download a list based off of my tags that says, this person's asset map's completed. So now Wealthbox spits me out a list that says, hey, here's everybody that you need to email, ask them what's new, put together a new asset map, and then we just kind of keep rolling from there. So if you've got a busy practice, I can tell you we're pretty busy too. And these two groups have helped us tremendously staying on top of things. And now we've got, actually kind of like a funny story of some compliance getting brought up that, Asset Map really helped us out with there, and Wealthbox as well with the good note taking that we use. If I've got like 2 more minutes, I was going to tell a story real quick. Am I good on time? Cool. Leah Jean mentioned this, I think, kind of casually, but you really don't know how easy an asset map is to put together until you've done it. I met with a client on Tuesday that we had first spoke like 8 or 9 months ago. It was like last summer, and we were meeting up. She shot me an email and said, "Hey, can we meet? I'd love to, pick things back up. I've been a little busy." And I said, sure. So, we met out for a drink on Tuesday. And one of the first things she said was, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the asset map that you put together for me. And I started to panic because I was like, I haven't put together an asset map for the lady yet. I've got my computer with me, but, I haven't put it together. I hardly remember anything about her at this point. So anyways, I kind of played it off. She went to the restroom, and literally while she was in the restroom, I put together her asset map. I'll tell you what, I don't even remember how old she was, but I logged into Wealthbox and just used the integration, pulled her husband over, whose name I didn't even remember, and was able to just kind of walk her through putting the asset map together. So I promise I don't do that for all my clients, but the ones that scenario comes along where, hey, I just either don't remember something, or, maybe it's just something you want to build together. Like a lot of times I'll just pull up the asset map, use the integration to pull the client's info over, and then we just build it together. And I'm able to ask questions like, hey, do you want to include Social Security on here? What age do you want to start retirement at? I mean, it's infinitely scalable, and it's really what I love about it, is we can kind of meet any client with their needs. That's kind of what I've got. I'd love to answer any questions if anybody has. What's funny is, just as Chris was going through his presentation, I realized I'm using maybe 1/10 of the Wealthbox features. So I'm excited to kind of jump into some new ones of those. But hopefully that was a brief overview of how we use these two groups in our practice, and how it's really become the center of a virtual focused practice.
Awesome, Seth. Thank you so much. Those are some great stories. And actually, there's a question that just came in regarding the 500 asset maps, the 500 clients that you have in there right now. How do you keep track of which asset map you've updated every 6 months, and which asset maps you still need to update? How do you pull up that list?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have client folders for everybody. We actually use a mix of Wealthbox and OneDrive for that feature. So let's say, New Year's comes around, I pull up my list and I email everybody. And let's say, half of the people email you back and say, yeah, I'd love to do a meeting, and we put together a new asset map. Asset map lets you do one per client. So it's always going to be the most recent kind of iteration that you've used. So what we'll do is download that report, print it out and give it to the client, or email it to them, and then save it into their folder, and then make a note in Wealthbox that, hey, we've maybe it's asset map done, January 2023. Or sometimes I'll just have to go into the folder, and the asset map actually saves with a date. So it'll say, report on this date. So that's a little mixed up, depending on kind of the client, how we keep track of that. But I mean, it's generally as easy as searching the client's name and then just kind of pulling data from there.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So for anyone that, excuse me, that is here, we're going to open up for basically Q&A. So if you do have any questions, click on that Q&A button at the bottom, and you could type in any questions that you might have regards to Wealthbox, regards to Asset Map, or regards to how Seth's team is using both. So feel free to type those questions in. I'll go ahead and share my screen again, just so that we can have that up on the screen. So let me go ahead and pull that up. Perfect. And I did see some questions come in a little bit earlier. There was a question that came in towards the beginning that I was able to answer via text, but there was a question of whether this is being recorded, and it is. It will be available within 2 or 3 business days. We're going to we're essentially going to cut up the video a little bit, so that you can share it with your team, rewatch it if you need to. That will be sent out to every single person that registered. It will also be available over on wealthbox.com under the resources section at the top. So you can look forward to that. I did see a couple other Wealthbox questions, so I'll quickly jump through those. Does the search box at the top just search contacts or everything in Wealthbox, including tasks, events, and opportunities? It does search everything. So if you do type in a keyword within that search feature, it will show you tasks and events that also include that keyword. If you're referring to the search above the activity stream, that looks through everything within the activity stream as well. And that actually takes me to this next question. Is there a plan to add a function to be able to search contact notes by the notes tag? And that is a possibility. Now, I think I could gather why that question comes up, because this is actually a fairly recent, as of I think a year or so, enhancement that you are able to search for that actual tag. So that search box right above the activity stream, you can type in the name of that tag and it'll show you those notes that have that tag. So going back to what Seth was mentioning, when that asset map is actually provided to the client and you want to make sure that that's done every 6 months, you can pull up your most recent notes and you could see all of those times that that note was added. You could run that report and see exactly who you should reach out to. Okay, I do see another question here. Looks like it is for you, LJ. When you import an address from Wealthbox, does it automatically create a residence in Asset-Map?
That's a great question. So it actually does not, because in order to physically add a residence, you have to be able to add in a value. So the address will come over into the contact information. So it would be very easy for you to see the address, and then you could just very quickly manually add the residence there. But you'd have to put in a value. So it does not do it automatically, but you do have the ability to add it very quickly on your own.
Awesome. Thank you. And I do see another question here for you, LJ, kind of a multi-parter here.
Okay.
Does the client get to keep their asset map? And this can in part kind of go to Seth as well. So I'll pause there.
So the only way that the end client, so your clients would get their asset map report would be that you provide it to them. Okay. So at this moment in time, there isn't like a client portal. That is something that our team is currently exploring. Our product team is currently exploring what that will look like. So that's very exciting. But at the moment in time, the only thing that the client really can do is if you decide to onboard them through the discovery interview tool. And that's really more so for prospecting, when you're just trying to gather some high level information. So to answer your question, does the client get to keep their asset map? I mean, if you send it to them, the hope is that they'll store it somewhere safe and that they will keep it. But in terms of your next question, if you don't mind me just answering it, Chris, in terms of can they update it? No. So at this moment in time, there's not a way for you to send someone their asset map report and then they provide you updates. That's a big product suggestion, something as our team is currently exploring. However, at this time, it's not available. And there's a lot of liability that comes along with that, right? If we send somebody their asset map report and they just start making all these changes, we'd have to be able to log these kinds of things. So the intention is that you send it, and if they need updates to be made, they would relay that to you, and then you would be able to control and make those updates. And that way, from a compliance perspective, you can log it in Wealthbox and whatnot. So.
Yep, of course. And as Seth was mentioning, what the Sound Foundation team does is OneDrive, right? Storing that version of that asset map in OneDrive or whatever you're using for cloud storage and having that available. And then the final kind of part of that question, that pencil, is that a new addition where you could kind of draw on the screen?
Great question. So the marker tool is actually not new. It's kind of a little bit of a hidden gem. I think sometimes you might see it once and then we kind of forget about it. So no, it's not a new feature. We did add keyboard shortcuts now. We have a great support article. So now we have little shortcuts where you can enable it on through shortcuts on your keyboard, change the color, remove the writing off the screen if you're somebody who's really looking for efficiency of being able to turn it on, or you can just use your mouse, but not currently a new feature. It's been around for a bit.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question here is a Wealthbox question. What do the Wealthbox workflows look like and how does it work? So Wealthbox workflows, of course, templated processes. They could be sequential, they could be non-sequential, they could be linear, they could be non-linear. There's a whole lot to unpack with workflows. We even have 10 templates that are already pre-built for you in our Wealthbox library of workflows. Feel free to reach out if you want to take a closer look at that. I'll actually use that as a turning point here to open up our follow-up contact slide here. Feel free to reach out. We're more than happy to show you a bit more in depth. There are resources over on wealthbox.com to check out some videos on it as well. But for any follow-up questions, you could contact the Wealthbox team over at sales@wealthbox.com. And of course, the Asset-Map team over at hello@asset-map.com. So I'll leave this up here as we go through some of the other questions here. I did see another question for you. Can account values be transferred into Asset-Map from Wealthbox or vice versa? Do you know if that's something that's possible?
Yeah, great question. So at this moment in time, it is not currently a functionality. That's not to say that potentially could be something that we explore in the future. It's just not currently something that we have available. And as of right now, the Wealthbox integration pushes into Asset-Map, so it is one way. So you push from Wealthbox into Asset-Map. However, you can manually add a household in Asset-Map and then push the contact record within Wealthbox and tie it to the already existing household in Asset-Map. So while you can't push a household from Asset-Map to create a contact record in Wealthbox, there are some workarounds. So it's either way, it's very quick and it's very efficient. And if you were to go with Wealthbox as your CRM and come to Asset-Map, you will have incredible training on both sides. So we're always going to work with you on both sides to make sure that we're finding efficiencies for what's going to work best for your practice.
Of course, thank you. And also just a couple things to mention on that. You'll always want the contact to exist in the CRM before you kind of start building out that asset map. Just like Seth has mentioned, the contact is created so you can already start with that note-taking, that history on the CRM, and then you start with the asset map so you have a place to go and add that note that it was completed, etc. So just a couple things to note as well. Another Wealthbox question going back to workflows. Yes, templates are already available. There's 10 that are already pre-built, some common workflows that you might run. Feel free to reach out. We can help you find it. We also do have some resources, but it's over in the workflows section. You'll find those already added to your account. Awesome. I'm not seeing any other questions. Oh, okay. Looks like a question did just come in. I'm a Canadian user of both Wealthbox and Asset-Map. Will there be more Canadian terminology in Wealthbox soon? I see some in Asset-Map. Great question. So as of today, as of right now, Wealthbox is geared towards advisors in the US, although we do have a lot of amazing Canadian advisors using Wealthbox. As of right now, the main focus is US advisors, but it might be coming in the near future. I'm not necessarily to say near future, but it is something that we have been talking about. We have been exploring to expand that market. So something to look forward to. As of right now, there is no way to change some of the things that are built in there. Of course, there's a ton of customization you can do in Wealthbox to add your own terminology that applies more to your business and to your practice. All right, not seeing any other questions. So I think we're good to wrap it up here. LJ, thank you and the Asset-Map team very much for co-hosting this with me. Seth, thank you so much for joining in. This is my first time actually kind of hearing an advisor that uses these tools directly. So Seth, thank you very much for joining us today and sharing a bit of your story. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And just for anybody that's still on, I would just say, if you have any kind of hiccups in your current process, just reach out to someone at either of these companies and just tell them your problem, and they'll show you a solution. And it's that simple. Sometimes there's a little bit of a learning curve to kind of get over, doing things the old-fashioned way, but I can tell you it's worth it.
Awesome. Thanks again. And to everyone else that has joined us, thank you all very much for taking the time and hanging out with us and taking a look at both Wealthbox and Asset-Map and just kind of spending that time with us. Always appreciate the great questions that come in. But again, hope everyone just has a great day, a great upcoming weekend, and we'll be looking forward to working with everyone in the future. Thanks. Take care. Bye.